Will they or won't they? The guessing game.
Hello everyone,
US North
I'm
Korean
back in the
summit
studio again. It's about a week. So there's quite a changes here. Last week, everything seems to be very sluggish, slow. Not much a breakthrough seems to be on the way. So we have to be very pessimistic about the future. But after 5 days, it's been very, very strong rallies in Korean market, especially driven by the semiconductor prices. Obviously, the biggest news so far probably is the Trump and his deal with the China on the phase 1 U.S.-China, interrelations deals. So let's just look at the market first. The market in Korea seems to be very, very strong for the last at least 5 days or 4 days, especially after the Trump announced, or the Trump administration announced the KOSP, the first phase deal with the China. Okay, looking at this into English. Okay, so now the market seems to be heading for 2200 level. Currently is 2195. Today's closing market. Just few days ago, I was wondering if it can go through the 2100, but now for last 3-4 days, it just skyrocketed to 2200 level. So what happened? Yeah, that's the things. Like I said before, in Trump administrations deal with the China and semiconductor cycles. So as you see here, the cost breaks the 2190 marks in the foreign purchased best in 7 months. So foreigners are buying before they were selling. So now they're buying, and especially after the 12th of December, the market has just went up pretty strongly. So what we're going to do today is, because semiconductor business in Korea are driving this rally in Korea, we're going to look at two company. We talked about this before, especially with the top 100 market industry in Korea. We talked about that before. So we're going to talk about semiconductor industry in Korea. I think I showed you before, but the number has been updated. These three companies are basically three companies within the 100 of largest market capitalization company in Korea. So three companies are Samsung Electronics, SK Hynix, and Samsung Electro-Mechanics. So altogether is value now around 415, which has grown from 360 or 70 trillion won just recently. So this has been tremendous growth in the market capitalization, the market value in this sector in Korea. I think it's go tandem with the market price, the semiconductor price. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some of the report. If you go to the Naver here, and okay, we're having a little bit of trouble, but if you can translate this, okay, and go to investment strategy like I did before, and you're gonna find some the report. So this is the third one. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth one is the one show you each individual stocks. You can buy, or you could subscribe like FN guide, which is obviously pricey. So this is free, so I use this. So if I can just find Samsung Electronics, yeah. So it's going to be difficult for you because everything has to be in Korean. So that's something. So here, for example, here's just some, so if you can just know the names of the company in Korean, that's probably the best. So you could go and find it. But anyway, I translate this into English, and there's a QM security report came out recently, and DB Finance. So let's look at the very latest one. And it says the fourth quarter semiconductors to be robust and display sluggish. So we expect fourth quarter earnings to come slightly below our expectation with a sales and operating profit of 66.5. The semiconductor division, which is deriving the share price, is expected to record strong results, leaving some concerns behind the market view. So, yeah, so that's the title, and basically what he's trying to tell you. So display is not good, but semiconductors will drive the price. So I'm just gonna look at, so you can use this, I downloaded this, you can download it, and then you can translate in using the Google. So I translated for the convenience of time, so they will show you this, this page here. So yeah, we talked about that, fourth quarter and everything else. And then we're gonna look at, what I'm going to look at, probably the most important thing is the margins. So operating margins by each division, especially semiconductor divisions, how it's gonna play out in the future. So the semiconductor margins, first of all, overall margins are as this. These are the quarterly numbers here. This year, expectations of next year, and then you have whole year, the last three columns. So look at the last three columns first. So operating margin for the whole company for the 2018 was 18%. So let me check it again. Okay, here. 2018 was about 24% in 2018. So 24% in last year. This year is gonna go slowly down to 12%. So everybody expected, because the semiconductor prices had dropped, and then it will go back again to 16% next year. Just looking at the semiconductor sector, 1918 was 52%. So you get 52% here. So yeah, we're gonna have a lot of distraction here. 52%, 21%, and then you go back up in the 29% in 2020. So first quarter of this year was 28%, 21%, and went down to 70% in third quarter, and they expect 17% in fourth quarter, going back up in 19%, and then it will go strongly up to 29, 26, 34, and 35% in the second and third and fourth quarter, meaning that the share price, if it reflects the earnings, will go up strongly in second quarter next year. But it's already doing that. So that's one of the reports we looked at. I'm just gonna open the other one, second opinion for it. It says, so like I said, we're gonna utilize Google translation, and then, I mean, you have this in English version, so you'll probably be able to use it easily. So I'm gonna translate another report. And then it will turn into English. So I am just stupid, just look at the form. Okay, I think this awkward translation here. I think just sit idle and you will, they will take your profit up or whatever. That's the main thing he wanted to say. So sit tight and relax, and Samsung Electronics will take you at good places in earnings, especially. So margins, just looking at the same here, he has 28 on the front, so he has this here. So we're gonna look at the margins again, pretty much 24% for the whole company in 2018. So it should be the same as the other report. And then it should be the different because there's expectation of this year. So it will go almost half down to 11% and go up in the 15% level. And then he's also looking at next year's operating margin to go up from the second quarter. And next year he's speaking about 15%. Yes. So as you see here, you're not going to see here, but in 2017 and 18, the operating margin for semiconductor were almost 50%. So this is 2018, it was 51.7%, and then came down this year around 20%. So half of the margin has been reduced, but then it seems that it will go up to 35% end of next year. So that means, is it the price, because supply hasn't been changed, is it the price going to reflect that? That's probably the questions that we have to ask. So semiconductor price should go up like that in that handle with the margins. So that's something that we have to look at. So let me see the report first. Not sure if they have the reports to show you here, but okay. And okay, semiconductor ASP prices. I'm sure they have this somewhere here. So ASP for one first gigabyte, so 0.9, and then it dropped down to 0.5. So almost, if the same supply amount, but the price has half of the what it was before, then obviously the margin is gonna go down almost half. So that's what it's showing here. So quarterly basis, it's been down, but in the first quarter it was up and down again, and down to 0.4%, down $0.4 per gigabyte. And then it seems to be that next year will stay probably the same. So he's not really expecting the RAM prices to go up. Look at the NAND price. The NAND price will also stay probably the same. So, so this doesn't really go with the margin improvement, because obviously the AS should go up to the level before. So this is kind of surprising to see that. Or else it could be the demand itself, the amount of the sales itself. So he's maybe expecting the sales to go up because the quantity of the RAM, and which will drive the margins up. So next time, we will see, we'll be more in details about how the margins going to play out in tandem with the RAM prices. So that's what's going on with the market, especially in the semiconductor sector. We're looking at anywhere from 50% margin going down to 25% in DRAM related business in Samsung Electronics. And we're gonna open the Hynix also. Okay, I'm just gonna look at this in Korean. So this is Hynix's operating margin. So operating margins for Hynix for 17 was 45. So Hynix doesn't have other businesses except beside the DRAM or the semiconductor. So it's easier to see. Whereas Samsung Electronics has other businesses like a TV, consumers, appliances, and display. So that's blended margins is obviously much lower. But when you look at the Hynix, it went up to 51%, which is very similar to Samsung Electronics semiconductor margins, and it went down to 10.9% this year. So, and then going back up in the 31%. So this CAPE securities should expect the ASP to go up. So ASP should be quarter on basis should go up here. Quarter on quarter it should be a percentage. So every quarter from next year, the second quarter will go up. And look at the so they don't have the ASPs here, but in any cases, this guy is saying that because the 5G telecom demand will drive up, whereas in 2017 there was a super cycles in the semiconductor sector, and that was the driving these margins up to like 50%, which is just so amazing if you compare it to other manufacturing companies. You know, I mean, everyone would have been happy with 12% margins in operating margins in Korea, and if you get like 5%, you'll be greeted that you are doing okay. But this guy is having 50% margin. So semiconductor business in Korea is definitely very, very lucrative. I'm not sure if it's going to go back to that kind of level again. Probably not, because 17 was an amazingly good year, and as they saying that they are the super cycles. But there's going to be some demand improvement, not as strong as 2017, but you know, it's going to better than what we experienced the last 2 years or so forth. So two analysts are expecting maybe 20% margins and 30% margins in the semiconductor sectors for next year. So that's seems to be driving the market, whereas demand is also very strong to do that. So I think that's a reflection of the macro environment here in Korea or the global market semiconductor businesses. I think today, because everybody's expecting the next year's economy is at least better than this year, that many of the sector has go up. There is obviously non-cyclical industry that didn't go up as much, but most of the cyclical businesses had gone up quite strongly, has rallied strongly for the last 3-4 days. So although the drivers were semiconductor businesses in Korea, it seems that everybody is excited to see markets are improving in Korea, which is reflecting the positive improvement economy as a whole and overall. So we're going to look at just one more thing, market indicators. US dollar is versus Korean won. Korean won is appreciating. So appreciating to now 166. So it went up almost 11.95. So it kind of touched the 1200 level, but then it came down. So I think that obviously this Okay, English. Obviously, the exchange rate is reflecting that. And let's look at other indicators like WTI. WTI is also went up to $60 per barrel, meaning that demand cycle is not bad. Whenever there's a economic slowdown, demand for the oil is going down, but it seems that since the September of this year, it's been going up. For the last 3 years, it reached $76, and now it's $60, comparing to $42, which is the lowest. So it seems that the oil price is possibly reflecting a little more demand improvement in the global market going forward. So, the market indicator, the macros are looking to be not too bad in the future. But we also have to be very careful about the market, because markets are always reflecting the future, which is definitely uncertain. And if the Trump announced another news that after phase one, second phase doesn't look so good, market is going to reflect that, and then there's going to be some downturns again. So we're gonna be keep looking at that, whether how it's going to be turn out in the future. So let's see what happens. So this has been a pretty good 4 days or 5 days so far. So let's look at what happened. Let's look at what happens the next 4 or 5 days later, and then I'll see you again then, and remind you that we'll be back within a week. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again.
The guessing game on the U.S. North Korean summit continues.